You might have often seen people who cast their vote flaunting the ink on their index finger. This time, though, the Election Commission had decided that it was time to do some thumbs up. But the move didn't quite get many thumbs rising in support. Take a look as to why.
The Election Commission tried something different this time. Instead of the conventional method of inking the index finger, left thumb was chosen for marking procedure. But little did they know, it would lead to much confusion and chaos. No thumbs up for Nilekani and family. Take a look at these pictures. These are selfies of voters from Namma state flaunting their inked thumb. But now take a look at this. This is the family of Congress's Bangalore South candidate Nandan Nilekani. Do you notice something peculiar? As opposed to voters inked on their thumb, Nilekani and family who cast their vote in Koramangala were inked on the index finger. This has come despite the Election Commission's guideline to ink the thumb instead of the index finger. Confusion looms large in many booths. The thumb or index finger confusion prevailed in many booths across the state. In Kammanahalli Sarvagnanagar polling booth 2, voters were inked on the index finger and not on the thumb. It seems like the election watchdog's move to try something new this time has resulted in a lot of confusion. Despite orders, the new guideline was not thoroughly implemented. A News9 report.
Well, it is not that you find centurions in cricket alone. India's 15th general election too saw a few centurions of a different kind make their presence felt. Well, we are talking about the people who have lived for over 100 years, yet came out to exercise their franchise in hot summers, just like youngsters. And these are the brave centurions of Bengaluru. 101-year-old Venkat Rao, a resident of Banshankari, set the tone for residents of his area by coming out to vote early morning with his son. Venkat Rao cast his vote in King's College in this area. Now, Shivappa, a resident of Bhupsandra, who is 103 years old, came out to vote accompanied by his wife, who is 93 years old. Now, these two centurions cast their vote without much fuss. But the senior of them all, a 107-year-old Bairamma of Nelamangala, who came to exercise her franchise, but sadly could not find her name in the voters' list. Now, this rendered her absolutely helpless. She was seen returning home cursing the Election Commission. But the question that we are asking you here is that if these people can, why couldn't the youth and the youngsters actually come out in large numbers? Now here, they're more than 100 years old, but still they made sure that they came out there to cast their vote. Unfortunately for the lady on the right side of your television screen, her name was not to be found on the electoral rolls. In fact, let's talk about 101-year-old Venkat Rao, a resident of Banshankari. He set the tone for residents of his area by coming out to vote early morning with his son. Venkat Rao cast his vote in King's College in this area. Now, Shivappa, another person, a resident of Bhupsandra, who is 103 years old, came out to vote accompanied by his wife, who is 93 years old. Now, these two centurions cast their vote without much fuss. Well, but the senior of them all, 107-year-old Bairamma of Nelamangla, who came to exercise her franchise. Sadly, she could not find her name in the voters list. This rendered her helpless, and she was seen returning home cursing the Election Commission. Now, a resident of Atturu layout has set an example to others by coming out of the maternity ward few hours after she gave birth to a child. Now, the lady, identified as Vijita, cast her vote in polling booth number 142, situated on G.K. Naidu School in Atturu layout. Now, the lady had given birth to a baby girl just before coming out to cast her vote. Her family members were against it, but she was adamant about casting her vote. Well, such was the dedication shown by this particular lady, that even after giving birth to a healthy baby girl, you can see the father carrying the little baby over there. She made sure that she came in the evening and cast her vote. Now, he has come to India all the way from France to cover the biggest festival of democracy in India. He's a Radio France reporter and is concentrating on South India. Now, our correspondent Bergie is caught with him and on his coverage. Now, here are the excerpts.
Indian elections also makes news in the international media, and we have someone who's covering the news from Bangalore, and he's working for Radio France. And let's ask him about what is the perspective of the Western media with regards to our elections. We have with us Christopher from Radio France, who will be telling us about what it is to be inside the mayhem of Indian elections. So is it a mayhem, Christopher?
No, it isn't. I was expecting a mayhem when I came here today, but as you can see at the moment, there's more media here than voters, but it's still very early, and I'm sure the voters will be coming in later.
You are looking from this election from a very different perspective, not from the perspective like we Indian journalists are looking at from. From the Western point of view, how do you see this dance of democracy?
I think the interest here in the Western media is that this is the largest election in the world, and I think it's fairly important from the standpoint of we have some important issues to be settled here. I think the international media was very, very interested in the Delhi rape case, which happened nearly 2 years ago now, and people wanting to see perhaps there are some solutions for women's safety and issues like that. There's also the world community is also involved with the case of gay people here in India and concerned about their rights, and as well, I think young people. I'm here specifically to speak to young people and see if they're really the hope for the future in India. A lot of people are saying that, you know what, my parents' generation voted for this party or this party, and they didn't even listen to what. But people are listening now. The politicians are on Facebook and social media, and the young people are here and they're voting, and they want to change the future of India.
Christopher, I have another question. Is like, when you were covering in these elections and the campaigns and all that, some funny incident that you have in mind that you would like to share with us?
Well, I think tracking the politicians is quite an exercise in getting to know what life here is in India. For example, if a politician is supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time, once you get there, you find that they've gone, or they're not coming in the first place, and they don't tell you where they're going. And I think that it's very controlled and a little bit less organized than we might be. For example, I covered the last elections in Great Britain, and it was something a little more organized than this.
But As you said, you were in fact running behind them. Were you able to catch them?
No, they're very difficult. I did actually catch one of the local candidates here in South Bangalore, but it's quite an exercise, and it is literally chasing them sometimes.
Okay. So there you have Christopher telling us his experience of covering from a foreign media perspective the Indian elections, and as he said, he was in fact running behind. He was not ready for the mayhem, as I understand from it. But anyway, we wish Christopher all the best. This is Varghese for News 9.
Well, it was an initiative to encourage people of India to vote. Selfing, a concept that was designed to motivate all age groups to take a selfie and send it to us. Now, this has got a tremendous response. Here's more.
All right then, it has become a rage, isn't it? We at News9 believe that every person who decides to vote is a superstar. That's why we introduced the concept of selfieing. Today, from young to old to prominent persons, everybody was busy doing one thing after they voted, and that was clicking their selfies. It started with cast your vote, take your selfie, send it to us, and ended with the initiative to motivate the people of India to vote. News9 asked our viewers to send their selfies after they vote, and the response we got was phenomenal. For those who missed out on watching their selfies on our network, worry not, we have compiled some of the best. Voting started at 7 in the morning in Namma Bengaluru, and across the state, residents from young to old flocked the voting booths to choose their contestants. Let's take a look at the selfies sent by the youngsters of our nation. Even prominent personalities of Namma Bengaluru shared their happy moments. It was not just the youngsters who had the legs to walk up to their allotted booths. It was a great motivation and inspiration to see aged people walking up to the booths, casting their votes, and even sending their selfies to us. Despite busy schedule, TV9 News9 employees made sure that they too cast their votes. We at News9 are people who stand by our words. So when we asked you to go vote and take your selfie, we did that too. But it doesn't stop here. Don't forget to keep voting, keep taking your selfies, And we at News9 will make you a superstar because we believe that you, the Aam Janta, are the ultimate superstars who run our country by exercising your democratic right, and that is to vote. With camera person Jagan, this is Vivek Vinayak for News9, Bengaluru. And